Rob Allman with the point leader Doug Riddle on the outside. His brother behind him, Mike Riddle Jr. and Jason Pitts, second place in points. And they come to the green flag. Great shot, side-by-side action. They go to Kenny Wright's green flag, and we are underway.
I tell you, I think I'd be shaking if I had one of the Riddle boys on the outside of me on the start. I don't know about you, but...
some good, tough racing going on. And soon it looks like the Riddles may get to 1-2 in this race. Right now, Doug Riddle leads, heading back through the crossover to complete lap number 2. Rob Allman on the outside, holding on Mike Riddle Jr. with Jason Pitts sitting back there watching the action. Now, there's a little bit of contact coming through the crossover there. Doug Riddle probably going to separate himself a little bit, but Rob Allman doing a good job, able to secure second place between brothers Riddle.
That's right. I tell you, those two brothers, man, they're handfuls, so I'd be shaking in my shoes. But getting ready to come over to the crossover, always exciting action here in Anderson.
Yeah, we are a few laps away from some great excitement. A little bit of problem over in, and a caution comes out as the field makes its way back to the start-finish line. It appears off camera that the 11 of Danny Stanley Jr. and the 6X of Kevin Brooks gotten together.
Also looks like the 35 of Darren Hacker, yes.
So a tough break for those guys in the back. In terms of a show and from a fan's perspective, you need guys of all different speeds to make the crossover exciting. So hopefully the cars aren't hurt bad and they can hang in there with us. And now that they're single file, we'll be seeing action very early. Normally a 20-lap feature tonight because of spring championships. 10 extra laps, 50% more excitement for your buck here at Anderson Speedway.
You got to like that. Not only that, the drivers get double the points. So, you know, they're going to be going after it really hard tonight. Every point you get, hey, it's all worth it in the end. So,
take this opportunity while we roll around our caution to remind everyone, if you're on the original airing of this, that on Thursday night, the following Saturday, May 26th, is the 53rd annual Payless Delco Remy Little 500. 33 sprint cars, 11 rows of 3, one of the greatest starts you'll ever see in racing. What do you say, Phil?
I tell you, it's the most exciting start. You can take any NASCAR race, any 500, and just throw it out the window. It's the most exciting start of any race that's out there.
And there, if you like what you saw on our broadcast this evening, you can give Insight Media Advertising a call to purchase a copy of tonight's race at 1-800-232-6946. Again, that's 1-800-232-6946 to get a copy of tonight's race or any of the other races that we do here with Insight Media. Great partner at Anderson Speedway, and we really enjoy having it. Oh my goodness, what do we have here? A special box in the corner of our screen to cover just the crossover.
Hey, that just shows you how good Insight really is, isn't it?
Pop that in for us, so we'll get to watch the action on the racetrack and the action in the crossover. And I wouldn't be surprised if that little box becomes the whole screen later in the race as the action gets good.
I tell you, it probably will. It always gets exciting in that crossover.
And Doug Riddle on point now with Rob Allman, Mike Riddle Jr., Jason Pitts, Curtis Chapman, making out the top 6 cars in tonight's feature. I saw a little smoke, maybe a little contact, and it's going to be very interesting. Doug Riddle has just absolutely been on fire this year.
I tell you, he's really driven really well this year, and I'm really impressed with Rob Allman. He's doing a good job there in second place.
They did some work on that car.
He's definitely holding off Mike and running really strong. It's good to see.
Very good. They're getting stretched out a little bit, but I'm telling you what, you've got a lot of guys here that have really stepped up their efforts, and so many of the cars are so very comparable in speed that, you know, here in about 5, 6, 7 laps, some guys that are perennial lead lap cars aren't going to want to stop in the crossover because they don't want to get that far behind. And it's going to be very exciting. We can see there that Mike Riddle Jr. got into the side of the 69 a little bit, trying to put a little pressure on him. Certainly they would like to see a 1-2 Riddle finish in this very important event this evening. Works to his inside again, to the outside, but to no avail. Rob Allman still hangs on. Now Mike's going to poke his nose back in there. Rob gets a good run off the corner, and then Mike is going to have to settle in behind him. So lots of action behind our leader, Doug Riddle. He's looking forward to those guys battling, so he won't have to deal with them. Because I think if the 12 got there, Brothers Riddle might put on a really good show.
You think maybe he'd tap him in the rear end a little bit?
Honk honk, I'm here, bro.
That's right. Families are knocking on the door.
Wow. Hopefully we don't see a caution here, because we're about 5 laps away from some really great crossover action.
Yeah, they're getting strung out a little bit, and it's going to make it really exciting there in the crossover. All these guys are driving really hard, and the Riddle boys are coming, so look out.
Doug Riddle will come through the X and come under Kenny Wright to complete the 10th lap of this 30-lap feature. And, boy, he's got that thing rocking and rolling. And now we see Mike Riddle Jr. on the inside. Looks like he's got a great chance to make the pass. Coming down into turn 3, and he rolls around the 69, so it's Brothers Riddle in 1 and 2, Doug and Mike, in the Spring Championship feature for the pit stop figure 8s.
Yeah, that was a nice pass. He kept working him on the inside, then working him on the outside, and just going from different directions, and finally was able to get around him and get his nose in front of him. And it takes a lot of hard work to do that, and he did a good job.
Well, it shows a lot of patience from the 69 of Rob Allman as well. It says, you know, I'm happy to be running up here this far up. I'm not going to jeopardize it. He's got a little bit faster car than me, and, you know, I want to stay running up here. So Mike got a good run on him, and Rob raced him clean, and as a result, he's still out there racing. Now we're going to see people slow up in the crossover.
Oh, boy.
Number 3, Jeff Swinford, going to slow up.
Yeah, and also about showing a little bit of patience. You never know what can happen. You know,
absolutely.
Anything can happen. The brothers can tangle a little bit, and you end up in the lead. So all's not lost.
Okay, now we're getting ready to involve Gene Houston in the crossover, and 95, I believe, at 10 fifths. Bill Leisure, always exciting. So we'll see how things go here. Wow, Gene just carrying it in front of the 21 of Doug Riddle. Don't want to see a caution now. Now what's everybody going to do? How long is he going to hang in there? Holy cow.
Wow, I tell you, that looks closer every time they go by. You know, they just keep catching each other, and we'll see if anybody holds up.
There we go.
Whoa. Wow. What exciting action.
Tim Phipps decided, you know, I'm not ready to slow up just yet. He's going to have to slow up this time. They're going to see if they can time it through the crossover just right. They do. Now the next potential crossover incident will involve the 13 of Bill Leisure. Now here, you're Doug Riddle, you're leading this race, you got your brother behind you, you can look up on the scoreboard and see it, and you can take a little comfort, you know, when I check up for this crossover stuff, I'm not going to have to worry about my brother shoving me out there. So he can look at that scoreboard and take a great deal of comfort, because there's no place you want to be other than having your brother behind you.
Well, that's true. You know, they're both going to fight for the first position, but not going to do anything to harm each other either. They want a 1-2 finish and finish strong on this double points night.
There we see, you know, and honestly, they did not pull away from Rob Allman. Rob is doing a fantastic job tonight. He's got a really quick car, and I'm sure his owner, John Allman, is very excited to be running like that this evening. Bill Leisure in the 13 will always keep your eye on that box down there, because he'll always make it exciting, and he's still running pretty quick, trying to stay in front of those guys and not have to slow up. Whoa!
Wow, that was really, really close there in that mighty X.
I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of, he's going to try and stick it. He's going to wait, kind of put it through a hole later.
This is a time where you hope the brakes are definitely working very well.
Yeah, those are the clean your shorts moves.
Exactly.
20 laps down, 10 to go. Doug Riddle, still your leader, followed by the 12 of Mike Riddle Jr. and 69 of Rob Allman doing an outstanding job. And I'll tell you what, I think the 21 car is starting to go, the handle on that starting to go away a little bit, because he was really quick earlier, and he has not been able to pull away from those guys.
Looks like the rear end's coming around a little bit as he's coming off each of the corners. So, you know, maybe if he did up the right rear a little bit and enable Mike to get underneath him, as it looks like there he goes to the inside of him right now. So.
Right. Oh, can you imagine being Mike Riddle Sr., the owner of both those cars, the father of both those guys? What's going to happen now? Now, Mike starts to go to the outside. That could cost him a position depending on what his brother does.
That's right. Looks like they are banging a little bit and fighting it out. And that also lets Rob get up in there and fight for that first spot as well.
Rob Allman sticking it down in there. He could get a good bite off this corner. Very patient, giving it a lot of room. Boy, you got to give him a lot of credit. Rob Allman is doing a super job being very patient and still working his way on the inside of Doug Riddle. A little contact there. Now Mike Riddle Jr. has set sail. I think I might have hit the nail on the head there a little bit earlier with the 21 going away here in the later stages of this race.
Yeah, I do believe you were right, because Rob's putting a move on him now and catching up with him. So looks like the handle has went away a little bit on the 21. And maybe he can hold it on here for a few more laps and we can have that Riddle 1-2 finish. But we'll see. Rob will go after him and put a little hard work into it.
Well, he sees there's 5 laps to go in this final feature of the evening. He can look up on the scoreboard and see that, and he may wait a little bit. Oh, getting a little loose there. He may wait to the final stages to put on any kind of move. In case it doesn't work, Doug might not have a lot of time to retaliate. But they're starting to spread out a little bit.
That's right. So look out in this crossover because it's still exciting as they spread out a little bit. And we got, like I said, 4 more laps to go. So everybody's going to keep the hammer down and try to finish as high as they can.
There's a look at Rick Tharp Sr. Getting ready to go a lap down from the 12 of Mike Riddle Jr. You can see him move to the inside of it. Lap 27. As they come through, and
looks like he's got a pretty good lead. He's got a little lap traffic there, but going through the X and going to get around just fine.
Yeah, he's got to deal with the lap car. Bill Leisure may not know he's there. Allows his brother to catch up a little bit. Bill may swing wide. No, he gets the sense, feeling back there, and makes room for the leaders. And boy, the 12 and 21 have finally set sail.
Yeah, they got a little space between themselves and the third place car of Rob Allman. So
white flag out. 1 more to go. Could be the Brothers Riddle show.
Could be the riddle of all riddles. What do you think?
Not much of a riddle here lately. You've been able to expect to see those cars up front. They're having a great year here at Anderson Speedway. Mike Riddle Jr. pulls off the 4th turn of the figure 8, looks at Kenny Wright's checkered flag, and wins the final feature of the evening for the Pit Stop Figure 8s on Spring Championship Night presented by Max WHBU. So, we'll take a break. We'll get our winner in victory lane, and when we come back, Cliff Blossom will give us an interview with tonight's feature winner, Mike Riddle Jr. You stay with us. We'll be back for more action with victory lane, because you know it's going to be that way with Mike Riddle Jr. So stay with us. We'll be right back.